Good evening, everyone. I'm Swarn Dhiman, Executive Director for Asian Exporter Chamber of Commerce and Industry, and I warmly welcome you all to today's special Ask Me Anything session titled Armenia, an emerging high-tech gateway for trade, innovation, and investment between Europe and Asia. So, briefly introducing AECCI, that is a prominent chamber of commerce based in Mumbai, India, that is recognized by the Ministry of Commerce and Industry, Government of India. And we are actively supporting Indian businesses to in their global trade journey through strategic partnerships, trade facilitations, and knowledge sharing. As part of this mission, AECCI is proud that we have already signed 50 plus cooperation agreements with the trade and law experts worldwide. So idea behind this is to offer on-grounded support to all the business community and share the correct knowledge and give you the hand holding. It gives me immense pleasure to introduce our expert partner, Ameria CJSC, established in 1998 and headquartered in Yerevan, Armenia. So Ameria CJSC, it is one of the country's leading advisory and consulting firms. With over 2 decades of expertise, the firm delivers innovative solutions across financial services, international trade, technology, telecommunications, agriculture, tourism, renewable energy, and more. As a member of the international consulting alliances and participant in major EU programs, Ameria has built a strong international presence, known for professionalism, integrity, and commitment to sustainable growth. And we are honored to have Mr. Tigran Jrbashyan, Partner and Director of Management Advisory Services, who brings deep insight into Ameria's business environment, investment climate, and regional trade dynamic. Welcome, sir. Welcome to you, and thank you for being with us. We are delighted to have you today.
Okay. Thank you, Swarn. And it is great pleasure to have the opportunity to talk with you and to make a presentation for your esteemed community and members.
Yes.
And it's a very, very grateful for your very warm and nice presentation. And this is very honorable for me, and this is really very valuable. Also, just want to add to your presentation that we have been we are the oldest company in advisory service in Armenia, and I am myself is probably the oldest consultant who started working almost 35 years ago. And this creates some opportunity being part of the old reforms which is ongoing in Armenia, started from the independence days. And being involved in the development during the last period of different huge strategic documents for a government, like a demographic strategy, like a employment strategy, export diversification strategy, and just now working over the high-tech strategy for a government. They bring us the opportunity to be within the process, having a lot of insight, a lot of data, a lot of analytics, and a lot of understanding and shaping up the Armenia's future positioning. And thank you very much for this opportunity one more time, and I'm ready to answer your questions.
Yeah. Thank you very much, sir. And let us now, first of all, to my audience, whether you are a manufacturer, exporter, importer, and the trader, this session is very important for you. And I just hope that later on, post this session, you will be coming up with your questions through emails or messages to us. So let us start with our very first question that I would like to ask to Mr. Tigran. And sir, how would you describe Armenia's business and investment climate today? What makes it high-tech sector a driver of growth, and how are innovation policies, skilled talent, and digital infrastructure helping Armenia become a competitive gateway between Europe and Asia?
Thank you very much for a question, and I think it's directly jumping to the core point, how we are positioning and what is the general investment and business environment around. First of all, let me start from the point that Armenian business and investment climate today is shaped by the resilience, reform, and modernization. Armenia currently entering into the new stage of development after August 8th, peace agreement pre-signature with participation of the Donald Trump in the Washington, which creates a new opportunity for more stable, more the uh, growth-oriented stage now, despite the fact that Armenian high-tech sector had quite a long story of development. In the Soviet time, Armenia was recognized as a Silicon Valley of the USSR, the Soviet Union. And this brings to the situation when we had a huge number of the universities in that time, scientific research institutes. Armenia was one of the most mathematically driven, which is probably very close to the Indians. Type of the psychological and
Right.
mental capacities, but we've been quite a part of this general community of the high-tech driven peoples. Generally, as we come to the figures in 2024, in Armenia, the high-tech contributed to almost 7.5, 7.9% of the GDP,
Okay.
which is brings Armenia to the level of the role of the high-tech in the GDP equal to the countries like Ireland, like Israel, like Taiwan. I think this is the something which we, in order to position somehow and to map the country within the global map of the countries, how it looks like. Of course, the turnover wise, because of Armenia is a small country, is not so big. It's around 2.3, $2.4 billion overall
Okay.
of the sector, but still it's quite high compared with other countries. On the
Right.
past decade, the tech ecosystem grown very rapidly. We have currently around 1,250 and more IT companies, and among them, the major part, around 60% of these companies, especially in the last years, they start develop their own product, which means that they move out from the outsourcing model, because this is, I think, is very familiar with the Indian companies who is providing the outsourcing services to the most of the developed part of the world. Armenia was in this path in the beginning of the developments, considering the availability of the workforce and the well skilled force and the competitive pricing. But during the last, let's say, 5 to 7 years, Armenian companies moved towards the more product-oriented companies.
Okay.
And in just understanding the role among the 1,000 largest taxpayers, the tech companies is becoming one of the major source of the income for a budget itself, and which means that's why the state budget and the government is considering the tech sector as one of the major priority for future.
Okay.
Plus to that, as I already said, we have a heritage of the very good STEM education, and now this education is really booming
Okay.
because we have utilized in this field the opportunity from Armenian diaspora, which is again making us very familiar with the Indian companies. Recently, I saw a very nice table about the role of the Indian CEOs in the global companies. It looks like this is the major occupation of the Indian origin peoples to become a CEOs and the chief executives in the global companies worldwide.
That's too good to
Armenia,
know.
Armenians, they are not in the level of CEOs, despite the fact that we have a very prominent tech persons in the world. Particularly, I can name it several of them just for your understanding. All of you probably know the Moderna, which was the major vaccine producer in the COVID period. And this
Right.
Moderna is led by the Nubarafian, Armenian origin person who is very closely linked with us, with Armenia, and having a lot of involvement. Another person is David Yan, the person who was behind the Adobe Photoshop and these projects as a major. Another one is Reddit as a
Yes.
company which was established by Armenians. There is still Armenians in the level of CEOs, but if you
Okay.
look in the other layer, it is major the CTOs. The
Okay.
Armenians positioned in the high-tech sector as a problem solvers, as
Okay.
architects, as senior engineers, and this is our strong positioning.
Okay.
Today, the Armenian government is providing quite a large, and this is a very profit can be freely repatriated. There is no any restrictions on the profit repatriation. And based on a doing business report of the World Bank, Armenia was a leader in the area of the company registration, tax filing, reporting,
Okay.
and this can be done fully online within a few days. I think from this point of view, to register company in Armenia, it will take around 2-3 days maximum, and you will have the bank account, etc., everything available to start working. Investor protection are strong. There is a clear indication in the law that foreign investments cannot be nationalized or expropriated taxation. There is a there is a grant the fact that laws can be changed, etc. You have this 5-year grandfathering clause, which is again making Armenia unique for the investment perspective. Operationally, it is also very straightforward.
Okay.
The work permits for foreign professional staff is issued electronically. There is some couple of the nationalities which doesn't need even that. There is no even need to have a permits. And intellectual property protection meets international standards, software, patents, trademarks, etc.
That's very
If we
good.
will summarize this issue, in short, Armenia now offers a modern, low barrier, innovation friendly. This is a latest development that Armenia is positioned now. Latest, let's say 5 to 7 years. We are now very innovation friendly system. When whoever is investing in high tech, in R&D, in the education, in the development of staff, professional peoples, etc., I think this is very important. For Indian companies, I think it's an ideal location to set up R&D care centers, which is mainly dependent on the computational power, because this is what will make Armenia unique, because the R&D centers can be in different places, and I think in India also the R&D quite a developing area. But in Armenia, these R&D centers, which will be supported and accompanied with this available computational power, which will be provided by the government and by the other participants. It's a unique opportunity. And also, I think it's availability of quite educated and well-developed engineering staff. And plus, it's a fiscal incentives and stable pro-business environment. I would say that this is the generally, if someone is looking Armenia as a point, and plus also very important is a geographical position. Sometimes when you are looking to Armenia, it's a very amazing place that during the many thousands years of Armenian history been part of the conflicts, wars between different empires,
Okay.
starting from the Byzantia, Shumers, Russians, Persians, Mongols. Everyone wants to dictate or to rule over this territory, because territory is in the middle of the
Okay.
west and east, between the south and north. And this is the unique place when you can allocate. And by the way, with the high level of internet penetration, we are among the highest level of internet penetrated countries,
Okay.
and the very high speed of internet, we are becoming some sort of gap of linking these all parts of the world, not only physically, but also virtually. This is also has to be considered as a location,
Yes.
which is eliminate the limitations which the East has towards the West, being far away from each other, or South towards the North, again on the same system. I think we are the geographical position which is not yet fully recognized by
Okay.
Armenians worldwide. is becoming one of the most important elements of our opportunities considering Armenia. Thank you.
Great, sir. Great. And thank you very much. This provides a clear picture about the business environment in Armenia and the supportive policies of the government there. And I'm hopeful people will get motivated by all these details shared by you. So let us move to the next point now. That is, like, Armenia has a strategic location with the strong trade links to Europe and the Eurasian region, right? Can Indian companies use Armenia as a gateway for trade, innovation, and investment to reach European, Eurasian, and Middle Eastern markets?
You know, quite an interesting link with our heritage. I think we have to start with heritage. I don't know if your all members knows that, but the Armenians over the centuries, even before the 1,000 years, been very famous as traders. The
Okay.
Silk Way was
Yes.
mainly the way how the Armenians moved the products, etc., from India and China to the
Okay.
Venice and Amsterdam and Rotterdam. This was Armenians' prerogative. There
Okay.
is a very interesting phenomena that it is one of the stories. It is like 1,700 years or
Okay.
long stories about the Julfa Traders Union. The
Okay.
Julfa is the one small city on the south of Armenia,
Okay.
now not in the territory of Armenia, but this is Armenian origin location. And these traders, they developed a unique system when there was no banks, no
Okay.
commercial transfers and transactions. They established a system which works with the payments and good transfer from India, that because they have established the first trade houses in Calcutta around 1,500 or even more years ago, which
Okay.
means that why it happened? Because location of Armenia, as I already mentioned, it's a strategic on this Silk Way. Now it
Okay.
calls in a lot of other cases, like in the West, it is called like a middle corridor, or it's a belt road from Chinese explanations. There is a different names of if we call Silk Way, but
Okay.
Armenia, this is a hub which is located strategically in these all roads. Let's not be make misunderstood from the definition or names, but the reality it's generally gateway. It's a gateway linking the east and west and south and north. And where Armenia has a SEPA agreement, Armenia has a very good relations with the European Union and developing more, even that we have now the development of the an enhanced relations with European Union, accepting the standards, etc. At the same time, Armenia member of Eurasian Economic Union with
Okay.
participation of Russia, Kyrgyzstan, Kazakhstan, Belarus, etc. I think this but by the way, at the same time, Armenia is a country with the neighboring of the Turkey,
Okay.
and there is a very soon there is already very positive developments related with this trade availability through the Turkey with the European Union and Arab countries. I think again, Armenia is fragmented regions. If we will, which is the another, it still today is not a due to the sanctions regimes, due to the restrictions, etc. Iran market is not yet to be considered as a major market, but sooner or later we will have around Armenia the markets with the amazing size. Like you could imagine the Russia size, Iran size country, which is like in the key towards this all market. And this is where how this considered. For Indian films, we mean we can talk about who is interested in manufacture, assembly, or expert from Armenia and through Armenia, they can reach the European countries, they can reach Eurasian countries.
Okay.
In a coming future, that can be the Iranian market as well, despite the fact that browser through the India through still. If companies is worried about that they are not very they are not fine or they are not ready to take a risk of trading directly with Iran, Armenia can be the part which will develop in the future. I think this proximity to the Gulf is strengthening its value with direct connect with States and Qatar, and it can serve also to the Middle Eastern market, especially when it talks about the technology, agri-tech, renewable. Hello, Swarn.
Yeah, yes, I'm there.
Okay, where we stopped.
Uh, Network was gone. I could hear you. Only your picture was still, but I could hear you.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. In this case, let's move further. That, as I said already, the proximity to the Gulf and this is threatening the value to have access to Mediterranean markets, especially when we're considering this energy supply side, because Armenia is a unique in this field, being energy overproduction capacities available, and being comparatively with the whole region, we are much more green energy producers, which makes us different from our regional neighbors, including the Turkey, including the Georgia, including Azerbaijan, including even Iran. We have a very balanced structure of the energy production, which makes also us important in this carbon footprint related activities, because today the EU restrictions related with this climate change, related with the carbon footprint certificates, etc., makes Armenia very interesting also in this perspective, because
Okay.
being a very green energy producers with a large share of the solar production, nuclear production, hydro energy, etc., we are becoming quite interesting in this field as well. I think this is the if I would say that this is like a strategic springboard for Indian companies. First
Okay.
of all, it's a place to develop, test, and scale new
Okay.
products. This is the first. Second, to serve both East and West under one regulatory umbrella. I think this is the always was an Armenian advantage to be able to be in the Europe, in the Asia in the same time,
Okay.
to be part of the East and West immediate in the same time. And
Great.
also, I think this is also important is to Armenian government readiness to be supportive and to have supporting the
That is very
innovation and
important. Yes.
cross-border cooperation, especially considering the Indian companies. I think the latest couple of years of developments of Armenia-Indian political level relations is proving that there
Yes.
is a huge opportunities between these ancient nations to be able to uh, pick up and to continue the heritage which we
Right.
had in the long, long years of history behind us.
Right. 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 And thank you, sir. Thank you again. It is really fascinating to know Armenia geographical location and its trade networks. We are hopeful these can serve to the people of business community of India to expand globally. And thank you again. And now I'll be moving to my next question. That is, how does Armenia's partnership in Euro-Union economic union, and though part of this has already been covered, but then too and other international agreements affecting market access, trade rules, and standards in Indian exporters and investors.
First of all, let me start from the point that Armenia is a full member of WTO. This is
Okay.
important,
Yes.
which means that at least for WTO rules and the regulations and etc. is fully applicable to Armenia, considering, for example, comparatively with our neighbors, with some of them, they are not even having the applied for membership. Armenia is a full member of WTO. Plus to that, started from 2013, Armenia member of the Eurasian Economic Union.
Okay.
Of course, it's a mainly Russian-driven union with the participation of several countries like Belarus, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, and Armenia. And generally started from January 2025, every every company which is established in Armenia having the full access to the markets of these countries. This is important in understanding that being registered in Armenia means to be registered in the Eurasian market, much larger
Okay.
market. At the
Okay.
same time, Armenia is considering and keeping the very close relations with EU, which means that this is not limitation.
Okay.
It will not becoming a limiting factor because from Armenia it is also possible to have a very active relations with EU. I think this is these two
Yes.
phases gently managed by the government and gently managed by the trade partners. Looks like that all of them they're recognizing the role of Armenia as a intermediary, as a translator to them. It's not the limiting each other, but instead of it having a synergy effect.
Yes.
And generally goods and whatever is produced in Armenia can be exported to these countries without custom duties, which makes Armenia a great base for some regional manufacturing, packaging, logistic services, etc.
Okay.
That also the issue of the certification. I think for India firms that product is certified in Armenia can move freely within the entire union without any additional approvals. Also, it is looks like it is very important for companies, which is very, very, by the way, is developed in India. It's about the pharmaceuticals sector, about the machinery, food processing, electronics, where there is a regulatory compatibility is essential. I think, which means that instead of directly entering into the big market and take all risk over that entrance, the entrance through the Armenian gateway will decrease the cost of transactional cost of doing that.
That is very important. Yes.
In practice, this makes Armenia a dual-aligned economy. Companies can enjoy the access at the same time operating under the EU-compatible standards and governance, and including that Armenia also benefits of having several GSP regimes, despite the fact GSP plus regimes from the several countries, despite the fact that Armenia already overcome to the level of the GSP plus based on the GDP per capita development. And this is already not anymore GSP plus regime available for a European Union. But for some countries like Japan, like Norway, like Switzerland, like USA, we still have a GSP plus regime which provide the preferred tariff treatment for these markets. In short, Armenia Eurasian Economic Union membership doesn't just open borders. It is not only about the borders itself. It simplifies the trade, lowers the costs, and creates a stable platform for serving multiple regional market. Most active countries in the world trying to build up a proper trade regimes and the trade facilitation instruments in order to come back to Armenian heritage. I would again repeat that this is in our DNA, the same as it is in DNA of Indian companies. I think this is we are sharing almost the same DNA, by the way.
Great, sir. Great, great. And I think this is very important information. The people should know this, and I'll make sure that this particular point, this particular answer must reach to all our people so that they can take the right advantage. And of course, Armenia is being the right destination for them, and they can explore more about this. So, thank you for this, sir. And now, this is one of the most, I would say, important question that comes to us from our members. They always want to know what market strategies would you recommend for Indian businesses, companies entering Armenia? Should they use the direct export import, means directly they should be reaching to the customers, or to the local distributors, joint ventures, representative offices they can have, or they can set up the subsidiaries? What is the right approach to go there, sir?
For Armenian entry, for Indian businesses entering Armenia, the best market entry strategy depends on their long-term goals. Because in case if you are, there is different options where whether our aim is to just sell products in the different markets, or to build up a regional base which can cover the different markets from Armenia, or invest in technology and production, because this is another option. I think this has to be the multiply strategies we have to talk about, because it is the difference in that. For companies just started out, the most practical approach is to work with who wants to check the market availability, check the market capacities, think about that. It is just an entry point. It's better to work with the local distributors or commission agents. I think this is the best way, especially when the Armenians have a long story of working in the same way with the companies from the Europe, from the West, and also from the Russia, and etc. I think this is to start working, it's better to start with local distributors. Armenian market is generally very compact, and local partners help navigate regulations, have problem with the language, business culture. I think this is for testing, for piloting the market, better to work with the distributors and to develop based on this the next level developments. This model works particularly well in sectors such, for example, as a pharmaceutical, food and beverages, machinery, and consumer goods, when the relationship and after sales support matter most, because I think one of the important factors it's after sales support and collection of necessary data. This is important. For firms with a long-term vision, when Armenia can be offer very favorable conditions for joint ventures or direct subsidiaries. I think this is another option. And there is, as I already mentioned, a lot of high-tech companies who established their presence. They established their presence in Armenia by their direct subsidiaries here. When they build up the company like NVIDIA, as I said, there is all of them, they are now in Armenia. The country allows fully 100% foreign ownership. There is no restriction of the ownership completely. There is a very liberal regime. There is a very quick registration. We already talked about that. And there is no restriction on capital repatriation. I think this is we are very close to the, not close, we are among the most liberal investment regulated markets, which allow availability of the foreign ownership. I think these areas like joint ventures, for example, this is another option, is especially effective when you are dependent on a local staff, on local professional staff, for example, in technology, engineering, education, or renewable, where Indian companies can accompany it with their knowledge and expertise with the local talent and government incentives. I think this is also very important statement. I think when we talk about companies who wants to explore the market, I think then the representative offices is also not a bad solution, because in this case, it's limiting the transaction cost, it's limiting the overall cost, at the same time allowing to build up the contacts, to understand the ecosystem, to make a proper contact network. I think this is another option, to have a representative offices.
Okay.
For expert-oriented companies, the companies who is interested in the multiple multipliers, to interest into opening new markets, Armenian liberal trade regime itself and the membership in the EU is make the direct export and import very smooth. Armenia is already one of the major countries to be a transactional business. Move in and move out, it is very easy. And good imported into Armenia can be re-exported duty free across the whole Eurasian economic area, with more than 180 million person market, with a quite an interesting logistic advantage. So if we will summarize the entry path, I think it's first of all, start with the local distributors or representative office for a low risk presence, to check the market, to understand what is going. Move to the joint venture or subsidiary for a long term, mainly R&D, but sometimes it's a production. But Armenian location and workforce is more compatible and more interesting for R&D activities to be focused here. And leverage Armenia, EU, and the Eurasian Economic Area relations in access to expand regionally established market as an entry point to these big markets, European and Eurasian markets. Overall, the most successful Indian companies in Armenia are those that combine trade with local presence. I would say they are forming partnership, they are co-developing the technology. There is in high-tech sector already we have a Indian companies presence who is quite effectively working. I think for entry strategy, there is these choices, and my company and also the advisory sector in Armenia will be most welcomed. Any support we have, it's our business, by the way. It is our way to support the international companies to enter the local market, and also to investigate and dig for development opportunities for future. That's why I am here.
Yeah, thank you, sir. That is very practical advice. Indeed, I wanted to ask you what type of hand-holding can be given by the Ameria, with what type of services my people can expect from your expertise, sir.
Generally speaking, we have two wings in Ameria Advisory. One is a legal advice and another is management advice. I am a partner responsible for management advice, and I have my partner who is a leading team of legal advisory. Just to cover the legal advisory, we are one of the largest legal practices in Armenia, supporting the most of the international companies entering into the Armenian market in different ways. Either it can be the investment projects, it can be the joint venture, it can be representation, it can be different ways. Legal part is covered. For a management advisory part, we are doing a lot of research. We are ready to provide the feasibility studies. We're ready to provide the business optimization advice, to market research. This is whatever is needed for corporate to feel comfortable and feel educated when he has a plan to enter into the new market, unknown market. I think that we are available for covering these gaps in understanding of the new situation, and this is where we are quite good position. We have also other wings within the management advisory, because we have heavily working with the governments in the region. As the largest public advisory company, as I already mentioned, we are working with Armenian government, we're working with Georgian government, with Iraqi government, with the Central Asia countries. We are quite well positioned in the region for a public advisory, but probably it is not for corporate companies. But this is allowing us to have a very quite a strong network
Okay.
And we know which authority is responsible for what issue. We know how to tackle the door. What can be considered as a opportunity for getting the special incentives for a government, because Armenian government is very, very proactive to develop the business environment and to make Armenia back to our international positioning as a gateway. I think this is another reason why I believe that this opportunity of Armenia-India relations can be developed in a very nice way.
Great, sir. Great. Thank you so much. And I'll insist my people to get in touch with you. We have already established our virtual B2B platform. From there, they can just put their meeting requests and they can reach to our experts. So I would be insisting everybody who would be listening this video, this session, they can come up with their requirements, with their kind of questions, whatever queries they have. So they can simply put a meeting request and our experts will be available for you to guide you. And one more quick question, sir. Though we have already discussed about the tech and innovation, I would like to know which specific industries or emerging trends you see for Indian investors, means the sectors that should be considered by Indian businesses or investors when trading with Armenia.
I will back to this again for this phenomenal AI factory issue, because this is really change maker, which makes us as on a top of this new wave of AI, I would say, and computational power. In my strong belief, this computational power, sometimes it looks like a very strange, but these tokens, they are becoming a new electricity of the world. This is a completely new revolution is ongoing, where there is will be the new energies becoming available, intellectual power. And for being a part of this intellectual power, you need to have this computational power. And this computing power with the size of 100 megawatts is very rare available anywhere. I think that Armenia, for example, Armenian University now is building the relations with the MIT or Berkeley or Stanford universities, not because of high level, despite the fact that we have a high level of R&D, we are producing a good products, but today being equipped with this 100 megawatts of computational power, the Armenian universities and research centers becoming a very attractive for MIT. And instead of the Armenian University tackle a door of the MIT now tackling door of, for example, Yerevan State University, because all over the world there is a huge deficit of this computing power. And this is something which the Indian investors, Indian interested peoples has to consider. Of course, there is a well-educated staff. There is a well-educated skill force. You have to consider that, of course, it is the very growing salary level, obviously. Armenia, by the way, is an ancient nation, by the way. The Indians, they are not yet reached this level on demographic window, but it's very close to that because the fertility rate is decreasing and the average age of the population is increasing, which makes Armenia need to be more investing in the skill development, competence development, more educated. There is every day new arrangements, new cooperation and collaboration between the Armenian universities and the Western top universities worldwide. I think it's already done. By the way, the Armenia, one of the destinations when Indian students is coming. By the way, it is also interesting that Indian students entered into the Armenia much before the business is considered presence of Armenia from the Soviet time. And still, we have a lot of Indian students in Armenia. But from other side, now this educational area is getting a lot of support. We have one of the interesting projects to be developed within the coming years. It's academic city, when the government is funding to develop a huge academic city around the research universities. And this will make the educational level even ahead. of this issue. The next area, I think it could be the product development.
Okay.
Armenia is now moving from this outsourcing model, despite that it's already started, but still there is a lot of available, very competent and very professional software developer staff,
Okay.
which is looking for finding a product development opportunities. I think if someone wants to make it IT product development, I think it's a very good opportunity because the quality level of our stuff is quite available, and there is already approximately 500 already developed proprietary software products. And Armenia, by the way, is among top nations having per capita unicorn companies available. Of course, we cannot compete with United States or India or Israel, but by per capita, we can be very competitive because with such a small country to have almost 2.5 unicorns developed in Armenia, and being very active in the worldwide recognized companies, the Pixar or the Service Titan. This is the companies which is very famous worldwide with own products, but their origin from Armenia. I think this is another opportunity. And finally, I think we can talk also about some advanced manufacturing, because generally speaking, Armenia can be provided, especially when it is important to have a Eurasian Economic Union market access. It can be interesting for a small scale assembly, testing, component production, which will provide the producers opportunity to be considered as this union origin production, and will make it easier for a company to reach this market. So for Indian investors, this is the right moment to entry early, especially considering this AI window, which will not be so long, because I am sure that the whole world now will heavily invest in the multi-trillion business of building up this new electricity for future, I
Right.
think. And that's why I think that this is to be a good opportunity to become a part of the next wave of technological coming out of Armenia.
Right.
Let's finalize based on that.
Right, right. And in a sense, we can say that Armenia offers a wealth of opportunities for Indian investors, businesses, and finds a message must be reaching to all my people. And I'm hopeful that this particular session will come out with some good, positive news for you, for us, for India, for Armenia. And thank you again. And with this, we'll be ending the session. And I would like to thank you on behalf of AECCI management and all my community members, business members, for sparing that time and sharing such insightful details with us. And we are sure the business people, business community members, they would feel more confident now while exploring the opportunities. And to my audience, I would also like to thank them. Of course, every time they come up with their queries, and based on that, we prepare to for the AMA sessions, webinars, seminars, all that. So keep coming, keep writing to us, and keep reaching to the experts. All these cooperation agreements have been signed just for you, for the betterment of your business. So keep joining us, and thank you, sir. Anything that you want to say before closing the session? Yeah, please.
Thank you, Swarn, and thank you for this opportunity to be able to reach such audience, a very prominent and promising and a very respected audience. It's a great pleasure. It's a great opportunity. I start from there, but I will end with this wording, saying that Armenian-Indian relations, they are so rooted in our heritage, in our DNA. So before that everything is started in the world, even the business itself is started in the world, we build up these links and build up these relations. I think our generation has one of the very important mandatory parts to be completed is to complete this level of relations on the new level of development. We are entering in completely new era, and with this all development surrounding us, if we can use this new understanding of the old relations. This will be amazing effect. I am strongly believing with that this accompanying of our strong points and accompanying us within this new era of technological revolution can be a strong difference for all our countries. Thank you very much for this opportunity and good luck for your members. And I hope to see them in Armenia very soon.
Yeah, thank you so much, sir. Thank you again. Many thanks, and thanks to all the audience. And we'll get back to you soon.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.